Okay, we are on episode 18 of Public Trust Review, and this is entitled, Whom Do You Represent? Or Whom Do You Represent? So the first thing we're going to talk about is the mayor's race. Again, we're focused on Santa Clara. We're going to talk about the mayor's race. And rather than look at this long list, we're just going to zoom in on the bottom few rows so we can look at some of the totals. And Tom, I'm going to let you jump in.
Yeah, and what you're looking at, even though all of the races haven't been decided in Santa Clara, we thought it would be worthwhile to start asking some questions and pointing out some of the things that we see in the results of the election as it stands right now. And what you're looking at here is data from the Registrar of Voters for Santa Clara County. And you can actually go in there and click on some things and get this level of detail, right? So this is in Santa Clara. The total number of registered voters, if you look at the bottom of the second column, is 57,474. Of that number, 16,000, if you look along the bottom, 16,000 actually voted, which is about 28% of the registered voters. And the registered voters are about half of the people in Santa Clara who are eligible to vote.
And we should point out, this is November 10th, and
this is the mayor's race too.
It is the mayor's race, and there's about 51% of the vote has been tabulated according to the registrar's website. So we expect these numbers to increase. They may double in size in terms of overall. Last time the mayor was elected, there was about 30 or 31,000 votes cast total. So it's about on track to being about 32 or 31,000 total votes if it continues along that trend.
But the registered voters number isn't going to change.
This number doesn't change. 57,000 is the number. That is a fixed number. That's correct.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the next race.
Yep.
Which is District 2.
Yep. So here what you see is the total number of registered voters in this district is a little bit under 10,000, 9,704. If you go to the yellow column, that's the number of people who voted in this district, 2,693. Again, about 28% of the registered voters who are voting. And you can see the other numbers for Mr. Shahal and Mr. McCulloch in the blue and the green.
And then, sorry, do you want to continue?
No,
I think these are all relatively the same in terms of concept. Yes. So the same, again, right, in District 3, we have just over 9,000. The other one was 9,704. In District 3, we're at 9,144, a little bit less number of people, but same percentage that have voted, 28% roughly.
Yeah. So I think what we're seeing here is out of a city of 127,000 people, council members are being elected by 2,000 or 2,500 of the number of people that are possibly that who they can represent. That becomes the question. Do you only represent the people who elected you, the 2,500 or so, or in the case of the mayor, the 8,000 or whatever that number turns out to be? So less than 50% of the population is registered to vote. Right? And 25% of the population actually winds up voting. So yeah, then that raises, go ahead.
No, I know, I was going to say, and again, that's as of right now, that may go up to 30% or 35%, but it's probably not going to go much higher than that in general, in terms of what we see.
Right. And again, given that caution, these numbers are going to change. You see in the districts that the council members are being elected by roughly 2,500 votes, right? 2,500 people, maybe. So when they're sitting on the council, they're representing, in theory, 2,500 people who voted for them. The mayor is representing potentially 15,000 or 18,000 votes, right? And there's a lot. So the mayor is supposed to be representing the whole city, or is getting votes from the whole city. So what does all this mean for the public? So
And on the topic is, so what's next? Like, what do we do? We know these numbers are going to change a little bit. We don't know who's going to be into office at this point, although it looks like the two existing incumbent council members are going to be there. Becker's still going to be either a council member and the mayor, or just a council member. He's either the same players are still going to be on council that were there a week ago. That doesn't change,
Right.
at the very least.
Yeah, no, that's right. And so we begin to ask ourselves, okay, where do you go from here with this? And what the grand jury report, for whatever flaws it may have, it is still valid feedback on what the people out there can see the council doing. The people don't know what it means, right? All they can do is base it on their perception of what it means and whether the council is acting ethically, or whether the council is acting in a way to maintain and nourish public trust. All right, so responding to the criticism is something that we've been observing, and it was really very clear during the election what people on the council thought it meant. But the Code of Ethics and Values, if the council members take a look at it, it's dictating a different kind of response. It's indicating that people should pay attention to what the criticism is and the perceptions that the people have, whether they agree with them or not, right? Council members typically will listen to what the criticism is so they can ask themselves, how do we not wind up in this same place the next time?
And just to, because I want to
Yeah.
kind of tie this up, because I want to keep our episode a little bit shorter
Yeah,
on this. But the final thought that you really are trying to hammer home here is, how should a council act to build public trust? And the city's Code of Ethics and Values is that kind of map and a roadmap on how to do that. And the question is, how are our council members going to accept that or take that in, something they've agreed to abide by, and then apply that? And that includes, how do you respond to feedback? How do you get, even if it's critical feedback like the grand jury report, how do you take that in, hear it, rather than defending yourself and saying, I wasn't this or that? How do you take that, hear what people have seen and experienced, and then create systems or processes to improve the government's business?
Right. And the first question really that needs to be asked is the title of this episode. It has to start with a decision about who you represent, whom you represent. And it should be the entire city, not just the small number of people who are voting and the small number of people who are registered to vote and the small number of people who are voting for you as a council member. It's got to be, you represent the whole city. And the council needs to really discuss that.
Okay. And that is today's session. Thanks for joining.
Have a good day, an ethical day.
An ethical day.